Yeah, my name is Joesph Dinell, D-I-N-E-L-L. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Today is May 23rd, the year 2001. We're on the Battleship, New Jersey, BB-62, which is now stationed at Camden, New Jersey. My name is Dr. Tom Bennett from Kean University, and working with me is Mr. Paul Lobauer of Pro Media of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Today we're having a discussion with Mr. Joesph Dinell, D-I-N-E-L-L, from Fort Worth, Texas. And Mr. Dinell served aboard the Battleship New Jersey from May 23rd, 1943, its commissioning date, until September 5, 1945. He served as an orderly and a 20mm gunner's mate, and he had the rank of corporal. Mr. Dinell, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
The question I'm interested in with a lot of the interviews today is, how did you get involved with the Battleship New Jersey? How did you get to serve on the ship?
Well, when I finished boot camp, they gave me that assignment to sea school. Of course, I didn't know where I was going from there, and then from sea school, they assigned me to the Jersey.
Did you have any idea what sea school was about? Did they ever talk
Never.
about it? And
I joined the Marine Corps, so I didn't have to go to the Navy or the Army and end up in sea school.
you didn't want to go aboard ship, but you ended up on a ship anyway. Were you originally from Fort Worth, Texas?
No, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
All right. So you finished sea school, and what happens next?
Well, they sent us to New Jersey. And of course, we were there a couple of days, and they commissioned the ship. And then from then on, we went to Shakedown and to Trinidad and back up.
So the shakedown cruise went from Philadelphia
to Trinidad.
Trinidad and back. How long did that shakedown cruise take?
I don't really remember, but it's probably a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And what happens on a shakedown cruise?
Well, they test all the guns and the engines and all that, see if everything's okay. And if anything malfunctions, they try to replace it or repair it.
And you were a 20mm gun
Cutter.
Did your gun work when you started testing it during the shakedown cruise?
Yep.
It did?
Yep.
You didn't have any problems with it?
No, they had the targets, floating targets we used to shoot at.
Talk to us a little bit about your experiences aboard the ship. What sticks out in your mind the most about serving on the New Jersey?
Well, the size of the ship really threw me right from the start. Of course, I don't care for water too much. But then I was assigned to the bow gun, up to 20mm on the bow, and those ships go up and down. They pitch and roll a lot.
So in other words, the place that you didn't want to be, that's where they put you. Sounds like the military, doesn't it?
Exactly.
What's it like to be a bow gunner on the New Jersey? You said the thing rocks up and down, and you stay up there for, what, 4 hours at a time?
Well, if your general quarters sounded, you're there until they cease fire. It could be 8-10 hours. Never know. But your normal watch is 4 hours.
And what do you do on watch? You just stand and watch for any enemy ships, aircraft, submarines? Or?
You have earphones that they put on, and you keep your communication with the air defense. And anytime you see something, you report it to them. They call you and check you if you're asleep or awake.
And your role in the gun crew was what, sir?
I was a gunner.
A gunner.
Yeah.
And how many other people served on that gun crew?
Well, you had your rangefinder and you had your loader, 3 for each gun.
And there's 2 guns in each pit? Okay.
Well, 2 at the bow. There was 3 in this quarterdeck.
Tell us what happens during combat. We're interested in that, specifically with the 20mm gunners. What do you do during combat? Tell us your experiences. What goes through your mind?
Well, you try to hit the planes that are coming in at you, for one thing, and keep from getting fired on. But other than that, there's not much. You don't remember too much about it. You just keep firing.
How do you keep on doing this? See, most of us are ignorant about this. Tell us a little bit about the firing of that gun.
Well, the loader, all he does is load the clips onto the, or drums rather, onto the gun, and you may go through a whole box of drums before the firing really stops. Because we never ran out of ammunition, really.
How much would one of those clips weigh?
50 pounds.
50 pounds.
Yeah.
And how long would a clip last if you're firing a gun rapidly?
Minute and a half.
Minute and a half.
Yeah.
What's it like aiming at an enemy aircraft? What do you do? What goes through your mind?
Well, see, you don't really aim. The rangefinder sets your sights here, and you just follow that sight in the plane. You should be on target, really. You just pull the trigger.
And hopefully hit.
And if he's wrong, you don't hit anything.
Did you ever hit anything?
I don't remember any time hitting anything.
Yeah. So the work then between the gunner and the rangefinder, you had to be very coordinated.
Right.
How did you work that out? How did you coordinate him sighting a target, you firing on it at the right time?
Well, he's guessing the speed of the plane and the elevation and all that. And like I say, you just keep your eye on that white cross in your rangefinder, and you fire away when it hits the target, or when it hits the plane.
Did the planes come after the battleship very much, or did they go after other ships?
That was their objective every time.
The battleship?
And the aircraft carriers. We try to keep them away from them.
So the New Jersey served as more as a gun platform to defend the rest of the fleet. Is that correct?
I didn't get that.
The battleship served as a gun platform to defend the rest of the fleet
Right,
because of all the
right,
armaments on it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You were at the Battle of Okinawa.
No.
You weren't there. Okay, you weren't at the Battle of Okinawa. Which other battles? Some of the major battles were you involved in that you recall?
Well, I remember bombarding Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. That was the first three, the Marshall Islands. And after that, there was a bunch of little other islands. We worked our way up. Kwajalein, Majura Harbor, all those little islands down there.
And you were at the bow point when these 16-inch guns are firing. What is that like?
No.
You're not?
No, they don't. They secure the guns when they fire the 16s.
Oh, okay, because of the concussion could kill you probably, or
Too
throw you
dangerous.
overboard, something like that. What's it like when a 16-inch gun's going off?
Scary,
Yeah.
very scary. You hold your breath, wait, and you hear that little buzzy sound, and that you know the gun's going to fire. And everybody just holds their breath.
That could be any place on the ship you would feel
Anywhere
that.
on the ship.
So if a forward mount's firing and you're in the stern of the ship somewhere down below, would you feel the ship actually shaking and vibrating?
Right. It actually, they're supposed to slow the ship down. I don't know how many miles an hour, but it's supposed to. And of course, they fire broadside. It rocks the ship, port and starboard.
As far as your by the way, talk to me a little about the maintenance of the guns. You know, we're talking about the combat situation. What about maintaining the guns? What do you have to do to keep them in operating condition?
Well, as soon as they secure general quarters, you have to clean those guns, take them apart. It doesn't really require that much. You take the barrel off and the slide, and that's about it. You clean it up, oil it, put it back together again.
And all the shell casings, are they just thrown off the ship? All over the side they go, yeah. What about your other ship duties? When you're not on gun duty, what else? You're an orderly?
Well,
and talk to me a little bit about your work there.
Well, other than general quarters, you have to go, you have certain assignments, and I was assigned to orderly for the captain and also Admiral Halsey and Admiral Spruance. That was our tour duty. And then if everything was going along all right and the general quarters wasn't sounded, then you went on your gun duty. So you fit in. Just the sergeant assigns you your details. It could be different every day.
How many hours a day would you sleep? Let's put it like that. Would you have time to be in your bunker, relax? Would it be an 8-hour time off?
Yeah, you get an 8-hour day. Yeah.
Yep. What was your reaction? I'm always interested. What's the reaction of the young men aboard the New Jersey at the time towards the war? What was going through your mind? If you can
No, I never gave it a thought, really. I didn't, I liked the duty. It was nice duty. And the guys were all a bunch of nice guys.
Any animosity, feelings against the Japanese?
Very much so.
Oh,
Talk
talk a little bit about that if you
Yeah.
can.
I mean, we picked up a few prisoners and we put them in a brig.
Japanese pilots?
Yeah. Well, with the oil tankers and so on, whatever they fired. But that was our only enemy we had, was the Japs. We didn't know anything about the European War.
You weren't getting any news on the European War. Is that what
You weren't what?
You weren't getting any news about the European
Not too
War?
much. No, they didn't give you anything.
So Let me ask you this. Was life aboard ship somewhat isolated? In other words, you knew what's going on aboard the New Jersey, but you were cut off from the rest of the world to some
Right,
extent?
right. Yeah, you didn't get any information.
How about things like letters from family, loved ones? Did you get mail very often?
They're all censored. They were all censored.
Everything was, so things were cut out, or
Going out and coming in, it's cut
Yeah.
out.
so the mail was, you pick it up, be like a piece of confetti or something like that. And the same thing going out, they would censor.
That's right.
Did they censor it right aboard the ship? I guess it was.
I imagine so, yes. Because the mail bags went out, they were already censored.
And you served aboard the ship for a 2-year period,
33 months.
33 months. This was your home. What was it like when you left the ship? You know, when you finally, in September 5, 1945, you walked off the ship. Do you recall what went through your mind? Say, thank you, I'm off the ship now, or what?
I sort of missed it, really. I thought it was a pretty good duty. I was almost tempted to re-enlist as a Navy man.
You grew to like the ocean as a result.
Yeah.
Did you stay in the Marines after that? Were you discharged at the end
No,
of the
I
war?
was discharged.
Discharged, yeah.
Well, I went to R&R Center, and from there in San Diego. And then from there I went to New York. Did armored car duty in New York until the war was over. I mean, till I got discharged.
Until you got discharged. The war's over. It's some years later, 5 years later, 10, 30 years, 40 years like today. What's your reaction to your service in the war, or aboard the Battleship New Jersey? How did it impact you or affect you?
Well, I tell you, I was a die-hard Marine. I really liked the service and liked the ship. And it's all I ever talked about. If you ask my wife, she got tired of hearing me.
It's tired of hearing about the.
That's her behind you.
Oh, tired of hearing about the Marine Corps. Okay. What made you like it?
Well, you know, I was a young kid. I didn't know anything really, other than school. So service, that's it.
Did it help shape your life in any way?
Yes, it did.
How?
Yeah. Well, I thought I was a spit and polish Marine, and I carried that through my whole life. Try to be neat, courteous. Got in trouble a few times, but you know, we all do that.
Oh, and you're a young guy. Do you have any final thoughts at this point that you'd like to offer us? Anything I haven't asked about that you think is very important to tell us, to record for the historical record? Anything at all?
No. No, I maybe I'm too gung-ho, but I thought the Jersey was really something fabulous. Really enjoyed it.
And this is your first time back aboard the ship today?
First time.
What's your reaction being aboard the ship again?
It's really
Makes your heart pound.
yeah.
Good. Well, sir, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Been talking today with Mr. Joesph Dinell of Fort Worth, Texas, who served aboard the Battleship New Jersey from May 23rd, 1943 to September 5, 1945. Thank you very much. Semper Fi, too. Thank you.
You're welcome.